welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. Hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. And we're going to get right on into our subject on this Wednesday afternoon. Our subject is, how has your marriage changed over the years? That is a good question. Very good question. Now we're going to attempt to answer some of the questions or ask some additional questions. How well did you know your spouse when you first got married? Some people, they get to know each other, or they have a long engagement, or did you have a short engagement? Some people have longer engagements than others. Some people wait for the marriage opportunity, what they call a marriage opportunity, which means that they save their money up, and for a big wedding. Or did you have a big wedding, or did you have a small wedding? That's another question. Some people, again, they save money to have a big wedding. And some people get married right away for various reasons. Some people get married because maybe the woman is pregnant or something, so you get married right away. Or some people just they run off and elope. I don't know if people still do that, but they might run off and elope. You haven't heard that word in a while. Run off and elope. They might run off and elope. With someone that they have to show like married at first sight. Some people they get married right away or short term. I think it was before my wife and I got married, we saw each other for, I think it might have been 8 months. A lot of times you'll know when the person is right for you. So the time that you're together before you get married is very important, or it doesn't really matter at that time when you know the person is right for you. When you know the person is right for you, time-wise, before you got married, it's not really relevant. What you want to do is make sure that you know the person before you marry. You don't want to marry anyone that you don't know, because you don't want any surprises later on in life. So what you want to do is make sure, again, you want to make sure that you know them. How well did you know your spouse? We just talked about how well did you know your spouse before you married them. Again, some people might, go see each other for years, and some might see each other for short terms. What was your major disagreements in your marriage when you first got married, or during your marital time? What was your first major disagreement? A lot of times when you're in a relationship or when you're in a marriage, you might have small disagreements, but there's always that one time when you have a major disagreement. How was your first major disagreement, and how did you work through that major disagreement? And that's why it's important to have a spiritual background with any marriage. Go to some church, attend some church as a couple. Because a lot of churches have marital programs or family programs that you can take advantage of, without forking out a lot of money, because a lot of the, like if you see a professional, a lot of those things cost. So they can be very pricey. So what you can do is you could also make sure that you're in a church that have certain programs where you have women's night or men's day, and things of that nature, and they have family programs and programs for your children, because that's important if you have children, because you want them to be involved in church as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, they can sit there and listen to the word." Come on, when you were a kid, you wouldn't sit there and listen to no word. It got in me, but it wasn't. It didn't get in me because I was sitting there like this. It got in me. I was doing other stuff, as a kid, which when you get older, it kind of drifts away from you. But as a kid, you can pretty much multitask. You could be playing and somebody could be talking, and they think you're not listening, you're not hearing them, but you actually can go home and repeat everything they said. And that's how it was as a kid. Sometimes I'd be distracted. Me and my brother would be hitting at each other, and my mother would think that we didn't hear what was going on until we would, she would walk up on us playing, and we would be uh, mimicking what happened in church, and we mimic the message verbatim, pretty much. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were listening." So just that's a major thing in a marriage is listening. How was your disagreement in your marriage? How did you work through it? And again, when you go attend church, make sure you are at a church where there are different things going on, especially if it was a challenge to even get your spouse to church. And once you get them in church, you want to make sure that there's something there to keep them there. The same thing with your children. You want them to be there because their minds are constantly going as a child. So you want to make sure that they're involved in the church. And I know a lot of people don't agree with having programs in the church. But the reason you have programs in the church is you have them there because, excuse me, you have them there because to keep the young minds occupied. Because young people, as you know, they can easily get distracted or easily get what they call bored, and things of that nature. So we want to make sure that we're involving our whole family. And how does your marriage change over the years? Did you evolve, or did you digress, or did you progress, or did you digress in your marriage? Some people, their marriage get better as the years go on. I know mine. When we first got married, it was a typical married couple, or in the beginning married couple. Where you discover things about your spouse. But as the years got passed by, we got to know each other better, simply because we spend a lot of time with each other. And that's a major thing that keeps marriages together, is to spend time with each other. It doesn't cost money to spend time with each other. You can do anything to spend time with each other. And just simply sitting down together, talking or watching a movie, or have a movie night or a date night, and spend time with each other. So how did your marriage change over the years? Did things get better financially? Because sometimes that's a big hindrance in the beginning in marriages, is finance. That causes a lot of arguments, a lot of discussions that don't want to no one wants to really talk about. So we have to make sure that we are doing that as well. And another thing that comes up a lot in marriages that might change your marriage from what happened is looking at the past and old relationships. That's why I always say in a lot of my discussions, make sure that you put an end to old relationships, or make sure that there's a ending in those relationships, so you can move on. Because a lot of people dwell in the past, and when you dwell in the past, there's things that can come up that will hinder your marriage, and you don't want things that are coming up from your past to hinder your marriage. So make sure there's closure on things that are from your past. And a lot of times we bring over baggage from our past, and it hinders our marriage, and keeps it from progressing. Because if you've been married over 5 years, 7 years, your marriage should be getting better. You should have a better relationship with your spouse. You should be the best of friends. And your spouse should be your best friend. And when you need to talk to someone, there's some things you need to talk to, like a neutral party, but for the most part, your spouse should be your best friend. I know my wife and I, we come to each other, we're best of friends, but she is my best friend, and it makes the marriage works, and it makes it. And we always hear people say marriage is so hard. It's hard. No, it's not hard. We make it hard as individuals. We make it hard. The same thing, same difference is if you're on a job. If you're on a job that you love, you never consider it hard work. What you do consider it is sometimes what you would say is sometimes it's challenging, but I love what I do. Sometimes it's challenging. And that's what you want. You want a challenging job. So, and the same thing in a relationship. In a relationship, it's not hard if you love being in that marriage. It should never be hard. And if you find yourself where your marriages seem to be so hard, so tedious, and you're always fighting, you never seem to be getting along, first of all, you need to have a spiritual background. If you have a spiritual background, these things should be taught in church, and not necessarily over the pulpit. They should be taught in counseling, marital counseling, family counseling. If you're having problems with your children, because especially if you have more than one child, you're always going to have that one child that's going to be more challenging to raise than the other one. You might have one that's easy to get along with, whatever you tell them to do, they do, and then you have the other one, on the other hand, that are more challenging and needs more attention. That's what happens when you're in a marriage that's challenging. Your spouse might need more attention, and when your spouse needs more attention, you have to give her more attention. I got things to do. No, give your wife some time. Give her some time. And if she needs some alone time, give her some alone time. So how has your marriage changed over the years? Did it get better? How well do you handle the good times versus the bad times? How well did you handle those? Because some people can go through good times and it's fine, but as soon as there's a challenge come up in a marriage, they don't know what to do. They just get confused. They get depressed because there's never going to be all smooth sailing. There's going to be some rough waves, but as long as you're in the boat, you should be fine. Make sure that, again, I always said and I always stress this, make sure that you seek family counseling, marital counseling, or talk to your pastor, especially if he's and I always say that too, if he's an experienced pastor, if he's been married for a while, watch your pastor and his wife. Watch them. If they seem to have a good relationship, they always smiling at each other. And the one thing about it, you can always tell when people are fake. Yeah, you can pick it up right away. But you can tell when they have a good relationship. When they have a good relationship, make sure that you watch them and from time to time go to their pastor and say, hey, how did you handle this? And my wife and I we had this discussion and it didn't go well. How would you handle that? Especially if he's been married over 20 years, 30 years, those are the pastors that you want to go to when you having a little issue or you need some questions answered within your marriage. And it should be one of a pastor that said, well, I don't know, I can recommend someone, a family counselor. It should be one of those pastors that don't think they know everything because nobody knows everything, and when you have a pastor like that helps your marriage change for the better, not for the worse. Over the years as you've been married, you get to know each other more and spend more time with each other. Your marriage should be at a point where you both are, she pick up the phone, you can answer it before she calls sometimes, or she's at the door, it's her. It should be a better marriage, not getting worse as the years go by. And if you want to, and again, if you're going through some marital problems and you need to talk with someone, make sure that you talk with someone. Don't just throw your marriage away, especially those who've been married for years. Don't just throw your marriage away. It should be better, as the years go by, your marriage should get better. And you want to make sure that you're working on it. And again, make sure you have that spiritual background. if you're in a church that are not helping your marriage, or you can't go to anyone in that church, maybe there needs to be some sort of change that needs to take place. And if your spouse refuses to go to church, you need to find out why he's not going to church. Because as you get older and in life, and life goes on, moves on, you want to make sure that you both have that spiritual background. And when you have that spiritual background, you have Christ to fall back on, and not only just Christ to fall back on, you have an outlet where you can go. You can talk to someone. You don't want to, in those of you that are in an abusive relationship, make sure you seek help. There's plenty of numbers that you can call if you're going through a abusive marriage, and you don't have to stay in abusive marriage, and things of that nature. Make sure that also that, again, with the spiritual background, that you attend church on a regular basis. Make sure that you are spiritually fed at your church. If you're not being spiritually fed at your church, maybe you need to move on. Just simple as that. And again, how has your marriage changed over the years? Because first of all, you have two people. First of all, you have two people, two different people. Sometimes they're opposite. Most of the times, opposites attract. Two different people that are getting together. And once you get together, make sure that you are gelling. You want to make sure that you're gelling. And as the years go by, make sure that that your marriage is going from this level up to the next level. And make sure it goes to the next level where you both are enjoying each other, enjoying each other's company. You shouldn't be in a marriage. I can't stand to be around that woman. Let me get away from this woman. You take long trips by yourself so you can get away from your spouse. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having your time, but you should also come together and spend time together. And if you're finding that you can't stand to be around your spouse, again, maybe you need to talk to somebody. I can't stand to be around. Make me sick. Can't stand the way they look. Now, how she don't feel the same way about you? Make sure you are working together, and communication. That's the key in every marriage. Make sure you are communicating with each other. Make sure you are sharing with each other. Share the good things. As your marriage progress, as the years go by, make sure you remember all the good things. Again, I always say it. We always remember bad things. We never want to talk about the good things. But make sure we are talking about the good things in our marriage. And again, make sure you have that spiritual background. Make sure you are attending some church together. Make sure you're going out together. And make sure you take your children with you sometimes. I always say that too. Make sure you have your children involved in whatever you're doing in life. So that way that they'll see how you are. And again, make sure you are watching, especially if you have a leader that's been married a long time. Those are the ones that, again, that you want to go to when you need to talk with them. This is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off here. We're going to have some other subjects that we're going to be talking about that'll be coming up. So make sure you keep in touch with us. If you have any questions, give me a call. My number should be out there on Facebook, I believe. Give me a call if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, and we will see you in the sea. So this is Pastor Larry with Let's Talk Marriage. And by the way, we're going to be continuing this conversation on our next session. We're going to be continuing this conversation. So make sure you tune in. We will be talking again about this, how has your marriage changed over the years. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry signing off with Let's Talk